Hello everybody! While we are patiently waiting for Vegan Gaze to put the crop deaths video together, I want to address it from a different angle. For this video, I will acknowledge that animals die for plant foods. I'm even going to acknowledge that crop deaths, as they are called, are not accidental but are incidental. In this case, meaning they occur as a consequence of farmers, including plant farmers, just not caring about animal lives. Crop deaths, though, is an argument that's thrown at vegans as if it was a good one, and I'm going to take it very seriously. So yes, animals are killed for plant foods. Insects are poisoned by pesticides, and some mice lose their habitat during harvest and get eaten by predators, or even end up in the blades of combine harvesters. For this video, I'm going to assume all of that is correct, but I also want to point out all the incidental deaths in animal agriculture. I wanted to find a catchy name for it. The way crop deaths is a very catchy name, so I landed on corpse deaths. It's a little counterintuitive since corpse itself is dead, so it sounds like a tautology, but it's similar to crop deaths and it sounds catchy, so let's not read into it too much. I'm not gonna attempt to count how many corpse deaths there actually are. Somebody smarter than me can attempt to do that and maybe contact me to follow up. And it doesn't really matter since we don't have estimates for crop deaths in any meaningful way. All I want to do is show just how prevalent incidental deaths are in animal agriculture. So let's try to see all the ways animal agriculture causes incidental deaths, or corpse deaths. We of course can immediately exclude from this list all the animals that are raised and slaughtered for meat, as these are very intentional deaths and the reason these animals are bred for. I'm also going to be incredibly charitable with the intentions of animal agriculture industries. I know that every animal that is born into the industry today probably has a death date, but I want to match the corpse deaths argument as closely as possible to the crop deaths argument. And the argument goes like this: in order for vegans to have plant foods on their plates, some kind of invented number of animals had to die. I of course don't agree on principle. It's not an inherent trait of the plant food agriculture, so I decided charitably trade equalize foods like milk, eggs and honey to plant foods, not taking animal rights into consideration. That's because we are trying to separate between intentional deaths and incidental deaths, and I can imagine that milk, eggs and honey don't inherently have to result in deaths. Again, not taking animal rights into consideration. I think you might suspect where I'm going with this. Let's begin. First on the list are dairy cows. These cows are bred and exploited for milk, and after they can no longer produce milk, they are slaughtered and become a first case of corpse deaths. In some countries they become cheap burgers, in others they are used for pet food, but we can call it incidental dairy deaths, as they were not bred for meat but for milk, which, if again you don't consider animal rights for some reason, does not have to inherently include the slaughter of the cow. For the same reason dairy cows are corpse deaths, we can also add to the list the goats, sheep and camels that are bred and kept for milk, egg-laying chickens, ducks and ostriches, honeybees. All these animals are corpse deaths, and they technically don't have to die for the products they are kept for, but they do anyway. Next we have to add all the mothers and fathers of those animals, and the animals raised for meat, since they are not bred to be meat, but to give birth to all the animals, and once they can't do it anymore, they are slaughtered and again go into pet food or other type of food. Those are incidental deaths. They don't have to be killed, but they are. Next on the list are predators who are killed to protect farmed animals. These can be almost directly compared to crop deaths, and thus they become corpse deaths. Let's add to the list all the animals used for testing specifically for the animal agriculture. Some animals are used to evaluate contagions and infections of animal foods. For instance, mice are used to check if beef contains BSE. which is bovine spongiform encephalopathy. There is also testing for safety evaluation of veterinary drugs, testing of slaughter and pre-slaughter treatment of fed animals, for instance to test stunning methods, cortisol levels during slaughter, resting before slaughter, feeding studies for best yield. All of those animals are corpse deaths. Some animals die before they reach slaughter weight and are discarded during birth, on the farm, in transit. Those are all corpse deaths. Some animals are killed immediately after being born because they are useless and won't make any money, like male chicks in the egg industry and male calves in dairy industry. All are killed in various ways and do not become human food. That means those are corpse deaths as well. Animals who are killed during disease outbreaks, like the recent bird flu outbreak in the UK, entire farms were killed without being viable for food. Or every time there is a BSE scare, entire herds are being killed. Those are definitely corpse deaths. Pesticides are used to protect the feed stored on farms. All the mice and insects that are looking for food are dying from ingesting or breathing poison. But I gotta also give credit for keeping some species diverse and thriving on farms, like sheet flies and mosquitoes. So maybe that balances out. Let's also add to the list bycatch. These are unintended animal species that are caught in fishing nets during the mass fishing. Those are corpse deaths. And of course, last on my list is the thing that everybody has been screaming at the screen. Actual crop deaths are also corpse deaths, both from cutting down grass to feed to locked up animals and from cutting down grain, even if that grain wasn't grown specifically for animal agriculture industries. That's where it ended up, and I think those should count as corpse deaths. So to summarize, animal agriculture causes many intentional deaths, and on top of that, many incidental deaths. And also please remember how charitable I was toward animal agriculture, since I counted all of those deaths as incidental, despite the industries making actual money directly from the deaths of many of those on the list. Let's also remind everybody that vegans are trying to prevent animal rights violations, which are inherent in the intentional deaths and in most cases in the corpse deaths prior to them being dead. I probably forgot to add some corpse deaths to the list, or maybe I don't know about some of them, so please educate me in the comments. What are other corpse deaths that I haven't mentioned in the video? Also please subscribe and hit the bell, tap the like button if you liked it. The other button also exists, wouldn't want to ignore its existence, and I'll see you next time.